Brick Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sportscenter rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sportscenter, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar. Booyah! And it's time for the Game Sports Show. It's Dave McCaig, and it is April the 11th. 2018, and we're here live at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, Sault Ste. Marie, and in front of me is Jamie Antonello, one of the co-hosts on the Game Sports Show. I'm going to bring Jamie in just a few moments to get through the usual introduction portion here, as we always do on the Game Sports Show. And as I mentioned, we're here live at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, as we are every Wednesday, and we're here for their famous 75-cent wing nights, where it's served from 4 p.m. until 12 midnight. Delicious wings, delicious pizza even. Also some great Molson products on tap as well, and in bottles you can enjoy as well here at SportsCenter. And along with all that, you can enjoy great atmosphere and always a good time here to enjoy all the numerous TVs that are shown on the wall and in front of the bar. You can watch all the sports, and we know sports are just getting all exciting right now with hockey playoffs underway tonight. We got the NBA playoff picture that's shaping up after tonight. You know, you had the Masters last week. You just have numerous sports all the time, even with baseball and television, and even have the news. Once in a while, if you want to watch the news, I'm sure they could change one of the channel. Whatever you're into here, SportsCenter Bar and Grill will definitely cater to all your needs. And obviously, get into the sponsor portion here of the Game Sports Show. The SportsCenter Bar and Grill being one of the homes to the Game Sports Show, where we're here Wednesdays. Another home to the Game Sports Show here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, where we record on Thursdays. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, where you're among friends. Other sponsors here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, we have Discover the Canvas, North Shore Sports and Auto, The Salon, The Superior Pro Shop, Big Brothers Big Sister, Sault Ste. Marie, and of course Northern Critters in Need. And you can locate all those sponsors on Facebook. You can get them in the phone book. If you still look at the phone book, you go to Google, you can search them, get their numbers and their address information. You get them on also many different social media sites to follow them or like them and go on by that. And those sponsors are available to you at your fingertips, we'd like to say. And that's in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. There's other ones that we have here on the Game Sports Show on the Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan side, and that's another home to the Game Sports Show on Mondays. That's the Wicked Sister, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and also Pingator Cleaners over in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan as well. And as I said at the top of the show, Wednesdays, we're here live at SportsCenter Bar and Grill from 9:30 p.m. until approximately 11 p.m., where myself, Jamie, and Dustin Grondin and Justin Heichel, and also Dane Hantrell when he's in town, whom has gone to Red Lake for the summer. But that's the usual panel crew here on Wednesdays. And we also have been waiting the special arrival of Nathan Inch, who's been on his maternity leave as he got hired. So Nathan got hired, then he filed in for his paternity leave. So excited for him to eventually come on the show as well, where he's going to be discussing more of the WWE portion. But as I said, here on Wednesdays at SportsCenter Bar and Grill, we talk variety of sports with our famous new implemented roundtable discussion, which is actually taken from our Monday show, but we brought it here to the Wednesday show as well. But we also talk NBA basketball, we talk golf, we talk WWE, a little bit of hockey and baseball, as I said, but we save that usually for the Thursday show. But the big thing that we talk about here on Wednesdays is our famous In the Pocket segment. And, well, we're in the off-season for that. We have had some special off-season editions. We had a great football season, and throughout the summer we're going to have some off-season edition as well. But those are the sports that we discuss on Wednesdays. Again, that's golf, that's basketball, that's WWE wrestling, that's football, obviously, variety of sports in our roundtable segment, where myself, Jamie, Dustin, Justin, or Dane bring a random table topic and we discuss it, and we have some fun with that. But tonight it's just myself and Jamie. We're going to have topics that we're going to discuss on the roundtable a bit later on. And on Thursdays, Boston Pizza, as I said, it's hockey and baseball, both local and professional, where we do that Boston Pizza from 9:30 to 11 p.m. also on Thursdays. And then that is both of those shows, Wednesdays and Thursdays, are put on our Podbean page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Going into our Monday show at the Wicked Sister, we're 6 to 7 live on radio, 7 to 8 pre-recorded podcast, which is also put on thegamesportshow.podbean.com. And you can also access that Podbean page through our website, www.thegamesportshow.com. And the website is operational. It's live and active. Just the front page is still in a little bit of construction because we have our model pictures coming in. The reason why a little bit of a delay with that, and also a delay with our merchandise, is because we have a new logo getting launched that's being designed by one of our sponsors, Discover the Canvas's own Katrina Thibodeau, one of the best artists I've ever seen, is designing our logo for the Game Sports Show. So when those pictures are out and the logo's all settled, that website will be 100% complete, where you can access our show for the website, Podbean page. And I can't forget to also, you can follow Scott Nason's YouTube page, whom is our operator tonight as well. I'm going to give him a special shout out there. But on the YouTube page, Scott Nason, you can catch up on all the shows as well. So that's the agenda of the show. And Jamie, we got the Wednesday show, we got the Thursday show, and jumped into what we do on Mondays. I like to state that usual agenda to always remind listeners how many times you can listen to my voice, Scott's voice, your voice, all our voices, where you can see us, follow us, do everything. And speaking of following, Instagram, at the Game Sports Show. You can follow us on Instagram. And you know what? Twitter, we're going to have that implemented as well. But for now, you have myself and Scott Nason that we have give direct links to our Instagram for the Game Sports Show. So make sure you follow on those as well to keep up to date. And for chances to win prizes, we have a trivia question on Thursdays. And we're going to start giving out little trivia questions on social media through all three of our sponsor of our homes, between the Wicked Sister, Boston Pizza, and Sportscenter, are all teaming up to team up for a big prize eventually as well, which would be sporadic. You don't know when this big prize is going to be, and trust me, this big prize is absolutely not just a pizza. It's not just a beer. Maybe it's an event you get to go to. It's a little teaser. We don't know when this is going to be happening, but without further ado, I want to bring in the guy who's going to be with me for the next hour and a half, despite how the show goes. It's the best thing about the Wednesday show. We kind of have a free-for-all when it comes to this show. Without further ado, the one and only Chicago Blackhawk fan, newly New Orleans Saints fans, boo, and coach, well-known coach here for football in Sault Ste. Marie, and well-known sports guy, Jamie. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. No, like you said, the show's getting bigger than ever. 3 nights a week, all over the place, all over the Twin Saults. Great sponsors. I'm just happy to be a part of it. You do a great job as usual, despite the fact that you tend to make fun of us a lot. But I'll be honest, we feed it to you a lot worse than you feed it back. But, yeah, no, I'm excited to be here for another Wednesday edition. It is off-season for football, so there's not a lot going on. Next week, we will have an in-the-pocket update as we get ready for the NFL draft, which is coming up at the end of this month. But, yeah, like you said, I'm a coach. I'm getting ready for the summer season. We'll start giving updates about the Sault Sabercats rep team that I'm very involved with in the summer. And we'll start giving updates for that as we get a little closer on. I'll hopefully be able to bring on some of my co-coaches, come and give their insights onto the show, maybe for an episode or two, get an interview there. But, yeah, another Wednesday here at Sportscenter. Wings are on the way. It's looking like a good night. Greyhounds won, so we're good.
Very good point you bring up the Greyhounds, and as you know, we discussed mostly hockey and baseball in our Thursday show. And we're going to get to a hockey point here in just a few moments. But you know, speaking of what you said about the show, got to give a shout out to the listeners. I definitely cannot forget that. Not just our sponsors in terms of how well they have done, but the listeners. Just a fun little fact I want to shoot the listeners. This show was started in 2015, and Scott, please, if I'm incorrect, you can let me know. But remember, Scott Nason and I started at McDonald's in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. At the cafe, we had Coffee with the Coach, the show was called originally. And I'm sure some listeners are going to get a little bit of a chuckle out of that one. And speaking of shows, last Wednesday, we had the show uploaded a little bit late, so we apologize for that, because sometimes with uploading technology, but we'll make sure that we try to avoid that as much as possible. But speaking of uploading, we used to upload the show right then and there from McDonald's. We used to do live broadcasts from there on Eagle 95.1. And used to be there for the Shamrock Shake, and their all-day lunch was the big thing at McDonald's at that time. The show has grown from where it comes up from McDonald's, and we moved over to the Wicked Sister. And the Wicked Sister, Sault Ste. Marie, is a great location. I can't even give the total amount of beers that they have on tap there. I was just there last week and earlier this week, and I can tell you right now that the beers that they have is just flowing. They have great beers that are there, and there's a local Michigan brewery that's there as well, and they have great service from Scott, who's the bartender there, who's actually nominated the best bartender in the Upper Peninsula. So you definitely got to check out the Wicked Sister, or here at Sportscenter with Alicia, Tiana, Jen, and Krista, or even Boston Pizza with Mitch and with Lauren. Great service at all three of our sponsors, so we're happy that they're a part. But speaking of the show, as I was saying, getting back on that, the show started with that, and we used to get a good amount of listeners, and I can't remember the exact amount, but as the show grew, we grew to here to Sportscenter Bar and Grill in the Sioux. For this our third year doing it at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, which I can't believe how time is really flying by. And the numbers kept increasing. But the show, we had just a Podomatic page that was not generating as much traffic as we wanted to, or getting in touch with the listeners. When we created this Podbean page, ever since the new year, going over to Boston Pizza and incorporating Boston Pizza with our two-way sponsorship already, our listeners has went up over 500%. We're in the thousands of thousands a week in terms of the Monday show, Wednesday show, and Thursday show. So I got to give a shout out to the listeners there. That much thanks to you. We get listeners from all over here in Sault, Ontario, Sault, Michigan, throughout the United States and Northern Ontario. We even have listeners overseas in Italy. We also have listeners overseas. One time listening in Africa, so that's very cool as well. So without the show, it is going very well right now. Without the listeners, though, the show would not be where it's at right now. So I got to give you a little shout out as well for the listeners. As Jamie was saying, the show is growing, bigger than ever. Make sure you follow us, and make sure when our merchandise launches, you purchase that merchandise so you can also get involved with doing charity work, because that money will go towards charity, which is Northern Queers in Need and Big Brother, Big Sister. A little bit longer of an introduction that we usually do here, Jamie, but to jump into a few points here. Our introduction portion was usually going to be a little bit shorter than usual, so we wanted to get in a little sponsor work and a little discussion there. And we're going to start off with a little bit of a sour note. Now, this is something that we are mostly going to be discussing tomorrow on the Thursday show at Boss Pizza, as that is a big part of hockey, obviously, as it was a hockey team that was involved in a bus crash and who actually, unfortunately, had their 16th victim. The athletic therapist go down today at the hospital, pass away. There was a player that on the Humboldt, Logan, that who signed up to be an organ donor, and at his 21st birthday, and then he has passed away and is donating his organs, so he's becoming a hero beyond the grave. But this incident that happened last week, how it has touched the world in general, tragedy. Young teens range from 16 to 21-year-olds passing away unexpectedly, where you've said it off air, we've talked about it, and you being a sports guy yourself as well in the football and all sports as well, in high school, everything, and myself being in hockey, that bus is like a second dressing room. That is your family. And that term has been used a lot on social media and also on sports outlets, but so unfortunate what happened. And the ceremony on Sunday was absolutely beautiful. And you know what? It's something that we wish we wouldn't have had to witness or be a part of, because it's something that you just can't believe happened. It's a tragedy to all these great young kids that were obviously great young men as well, and right in the middle of a playoff run as well. And the Humboldt strong, I love that quote. I love that hashtag. Very strong Humboldt is, and the unexpectancy of what happened has shocked the hockey world and has shocked the world in general, and it has also made the world unite. It made us all come together, and you can go to their GoFundMe page and donate. And Jamie, I'm going to give you the floor in terms of kind of giving a brief discussion. As I said, we're going to get into this more tomorrow at Boston Pizza for our Thursday show, but I wanted to get your take on this, as obviously this is the biggest topic in the world of sports right now. In my opinion, this is something that's a tragedy that is very unfortunate.
Yeah, and Canada has really rallied, and the world has embraced us. The rest of Canada has embraced Saskatchewan and Humboldt as a community. Like you said, Humboldt strong, and then everybody putting their sticks out on the porch for the boys. Somebody's going to come play with it. That touched me. Like you said, I've played hockey my whole life, played football. I'm used to those bus trips. A lot of us are. You are, I know, very well. And it's a scary reality, and it's a tragedy, and we still don't really know exactly how it happened. It's so sad. I think like our condolences and prayers are out to all the families and everybody affected. But the victims that have survived and the families are so strong. And one of the players immediately saying he's paralyzed from the chest down says, okay, I'm going to go make the Canadian national sledge hockey team. Straight up. There's no quit. Some of the players that have played with these guys were call-ups out on the rink, passing the puck around. They went to the hospital to visit the surviving players, their teammates. NHL coaches. And the boys all said, go play. It's what we want. It's what the guys would want. We've seen powerful images from the crash, from a DVD of Slapshot crushed onto the highway, to the visual of the three of the surviving members holding hands in the hospital. It's a senseless tragedy, and Humboldt, just know that Canada's behind you, the world's behind you. We're all here for you. Humboldt strong. I think the GoFundMe page has just blown out of the water what they wanted, and it won't bring those boys back, but hopefully eventually it'll start to heal. That community is very tight-knit, right? Their hockey rink is attached to the high school. It's a small community, and Sault Ste. Marie is, by standards in Ontario, a small community, and we can relate, right? We're used to playing in small rinks. We're used to traveling on those buses. We're used to having a community rally behind your hometown team, and it's I think we were all choked up and we were emotionally damaged when it happened, and just our hearts went out for everybody. And we hope that Humboldt can continue to heal, and that they know that we're all behind them.
Very touching stuff, and great little spit there, Jamie. It's definitely something that you can't, it just leaves you speechless because of the amount of tragedy that it is. And we're going to discuss more of this Humboldt Broncos tragedy tomorrow on the Boston Pizza edition of the Game Sports Show. So I want to thank Jamie for that, for his comments, and as well as he said, Humboldt, Canada is behind you. The Game Sports Show, we're behind you. Anything that anybody needs who's listening in that area, definitely do not feel anything to reach out to anybody, us, any media. Don't hesitate to reach out to anybody. We're here to talk, and we're here to donate what we can and do what we can. But I must say, the hockey sticks on the porch idea, that makes me gasp for breath, because I cannot believe how emotional that makes me and how amazing that was and how strong Canada and the world has become due to this tragedy. Jamie, the show for us is going to go on in this term. We're going to continue. We're going to be more into it tomorrow on the Game Sports Show, a little bit more of in-depth news about the Humboldt Broncos tragedy. But you and I are going to discuss right now the Masters before we go to our break and before we enjoy the food that was just brought out to us by the beautiful Alicia White.
Easy.
I like that easy. Had to get a little laugh going after a little sour beginning. But April 5th to 8th was the Masters tournament. Woo. That's last weekend. Patrick Reed, the winner of the Masters tournament. Ricky Fowler going second. Jordan Spieth going third. Josh Ram, I cannot pronounce his name. John Rahm going fourth. And my boy, Bubba Watson, finishing fifth. I thought he was going to win that tournament, but obviously Patrick Reed. Are you surprised with Patrick Reed getting the W?
I'm not. I mean, he's been playing exceptional golf. He's been a stalwart on the American team when they go into match play for the last couple of years. The thing with Patrick Reed is he runs hot, which you kind of like to see. Like, the modern golf fan now, like, you want to see a Tiger fist pump. You want to see emotion. You want to see these guys. And John Rahm is going to get more of a following. He's an emotional guy as well. Jordan Spieth shows some emotion. All these young guys are getting really into it. Ricky Fowler is the complete opposite. Doesn't show any emotion. His emotion is his clothing that he wears on the course, which some have started to curse him with it. I mean, he can't win a major. He's been in it. He's finished top 5 in, I think, 7 majors in the last couple years, which is absurd. Like, he's playing fantastic golf. He just can't close. But I'm a fan of Patrick Reed. Played exceptional golf. Made the shots he needed to. He was hitting fairways. And really, he was just clutch. Like, I can't say he completely dominated the competition because the weather was a battle. Thursday and Friday were not great days. Sunday was beautiful.
Beautiful day.
And you saw, when it was beautiful, Jordan Spieth went on a run. Tied the course record.
I thought he was going to get it. I thought he was going to get that record at that last putt.
It was close. He had it. Very makeable putt, but you can't make them all. I mean, he still finished, I think, -9 or -8 for the day. -8. Very respectable round at Augusta. And the Masters is an unusual major, right? It's the only major that's played at the exact same course every single year, right? So players know, I'm going to the Masters, I'm playing at Augusta. You go to the British Open, it's a different course every year. You go to the U.S. Open, it's a different course every year. So I think Patrick Reed made a lot of fans. He's been made fun of on the internet a little bit. He's kind of not that new age golfer, right? You look at Jordan Spieth, you look at McIlroy, you look at Ricky Fowler, you look at Tiger, all in very good shape. Patrick Reed, much more relatable guy, right? He's got a little bit of dad bod going. I think my favorite meme of the weekend was from Tommy Boy when they had his face on Tommy Boy when he's fat guy in a little coat. I mean, he's laughing. He's got his green jacket. Made a boatload of money.
11 million? No, more than that.
It's more than that, yeah. Masters is a big purse.
Yeah.
Green jacket. He joined the elite. And your boy Bubba, I thought was awesome. Finishes at 18. 2 pairings before him. 2 or 3. And he's the first guy to congratulate him. Pure class. Love it. It's what you like to see. That's a moment for these guys, right? Yeah. And everybody, all these guys that have won Masters in the past, they're there for that. And just happy to see. I mean, I would have loved to see if Tiger won. Would have loved to see any of these guys won. It's nice to see a new guy win, right? Yes. Gets a major under his belt. And Patrick Reed's really amping up for a real good golf season.
Absolutely, and you know what? It's at the end of the day, Patrick Reed. Congratulations to Patrick Reed getting that win, his first win. Young guy getting the win. Like seeing these young guys coming up, 27 years of age. Rory McIlroy had a rough day.
Didn't play that great.
Didn't have a good day. He shot +2 on the round 4 of the finals. Then you have Dustin Johnson, who finished 10th, a little bit lower than maybe what he would want to, and he finished the top 10 at least, but definitely not where he expected. And a couple notable guys more at the bottom. Jason Day down being -1 on that day, but finishing -2. You got Phil Mickelson finishing 36th as well, the legendary Mickelson. There's Vijay Singh, who finishes 49th as well. Exactly, he finished with a +7 in the game. It's an older man who is a legend in terms of golf, but this tournament, Patrick Reed was great. Bubba Watson showed that he still is relevant in the golf conversation in the class, which is fantastic. But definitely was actually pretty exciting Masters tournament in that finals. After you saw maybe in hole 15, that's where you figured Patrick Reed was pulling away. That was it. He was just making sure he got those shots, he didn't mess up, get too excited. John Rahm. There's somebody who I thought let the game slip a little bit. Yeah. His emotions got the best of him earlier in the round, but that's Patrick Reed is definitely deserving. Before we move on to go to our break, Jamie, you have a couple points to add?
Yeah, I'll echo that. I think we were all kind of waiting to see if Jordan Spieth would have an unbelievable record-breaking round. For a while there, it looked like he was going to shoot a 59 the way he was playing, and that would have put a lot of pressure on Patrick Reed. Like you come in and you shoot a 10 under plus for one round, you put a lot of pressure. But unfortunately, big ups to all these guys. We can't not talk about poor Sergio and his 13-shot hole. He had to drop 5 separate times. Just couldn't crest that hill. And the internet ripped him apart. He was full of class, as he's a true pro. And he said sometimes you get stuck in a hole. He didn't get flustered. He just couldn't make the shot. And I'm not going to rip him apart any more than the internet already did. If you're really interested, just search Sergio memes. There's a lot of them. And he'll bounce back for sure. He's a pro. He's still a very good golfer. He's not over the hill by any means, as we can see from Vijay Singh, right? Guys are almost 60, and they're absolutely dominating the course.
Looks young still, Vijay.
Looks very young. But Sergio will bounce back, but we just had to bring it up. Not a good scene. And that's what Augusta does to you. It's a hard course. You miss-hit a hill by a foot, and you're going to roll 45 feet into the water over and over and over and over and over again. Yes, that was 5 times. All right, I'm done.
Nice, I got that. I almost didn't get that until you said it there, but that is good. But you know what? That shows a little message to individuals playing at all sports. Don't get frustrated. Even the best make their errors, and it's the way they bounce back is what defines character.
Dave and I would probably shoot about 150 per round.
At least you're being generous. Thank you. That's a compliment. That's a compliment there for sure. Speaking of golf, got to give a shout out to Jamie Henderson for Michael Doan's Charity Classic on June 9th. You've had sold out within 72 hours.
which is fantastic. But you can still contact Jamie Henderson in terms of maybe donating prizes, being part of the event, or anything of that matter, as it is going towards Michael Dome Bursary Fund and the St. Mary's Knights. And I want to give a shout out to Jamie for putting that together. Great guy in the community, and definitely going towards a great cause. June the 9th at Silver Creek for the golf classic for the first annual for Michael Dome. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, Jamie and I are going to be discussing NBA. Raptors clinching that East franchise record in wins as that keeps climbing. They're in a nail biter here against Miami tonight so far. We determine what the playoff pictures are going to be tonight. Hopefully that is all announced before we're done our show with everything with what is happening, so we can state all that in part 2 of our show, which is coming right up. Jamie and I are going to take a little break. You're going to hear from our sponsors. We're going to enjoy some chicken wings, some fries, some pizza, some Molson products, socialize a little bit with our fans here at Sportscenter Bar and Grill. And when we come back, we're going to be just talking the NBA, so don't go anywhere on the Game Sports Show.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sportscenter rated top sports bar for the 2nd year in a row. At Sportscenter, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar. The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsioux.as.me-. The Salon, making the Sioux beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Sioux Pee Wee Pro Shop. The Sioux Pee Wee Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Sioux Pee Wee Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Superior Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful, new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Hi, this is Paul Maurice from the Winnipeg Jets, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McCaig, here live at Sportscenter Bar and Grill in Sault Ste. Marie. I am alongside Jamie Antonello, but Jamie, one of my co-hosts and analysts, will be taking a break mostly on this part of the segment, as I'm going to bring him back on to the show for part 3, where we have our roundtable, as yours truly is going to be discussing the NBA, as today is the last day of the NBA for games in the regular season, and then it's the day where the playoff picture is going to be complete. Unfortunately, while we're discussing the show, we're just going to have the Eastern Conference picture be mostly laid out for us for the NBA playoffs. And without further ado, let's jump on into it. With the Eastern Conference, as we know, the Toronto Raptors actually fell to the Miami Heat tonight to a score of 116-109. But we all know who the Toronto Raptors are going to be playing in the very first round of the playoffs, and that is against the Washington Wizards. Now, the Wizards, whom lost the Orlando Magic 101-92 tonight, the NBA's playoff seeding came down to the final game of this regular season, with only 5 out of the 16 seeds having their positions locked up. Toronto having first in the East, Boston having second in the East, Houston and Golden State being 1 and 2 respectively, then Indiana finishing 5th. That was the lock-in seeds. However, now, as we discuss right now, the Eastern picture is complete, and the Eastern Conference playoff matches are as follows. As I mentioned, the Toronto Raptors will be playing the Washington Wizards, one playing the 8th seed. The Cleveland Cavaliers will be playing the Indiana Pacers, and Cleveland finishing 4th, and Indiana finishing 5th. Now, here's where something gets a little bit more interesting. The Cleveland Cavaliers, if they win this series, will play the winner of Toronto-Washington, or if Indiana wins this series, the winner plays Toronto or Washington. So what does that mean? The winner of Cleveland-Indiana plays the winner of Toronto-Washington. Pretty self-explanatory. And it's not what fans were hoping for, but the Cleveland Cavaliers finishing 4th. The Toronto Raptors might have a second-round matchup with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the Boston Celtics will be playing against the Milwaukee Bucks, second playing 7th there. And the Philadelphia 76ers will be playing the Miami Heat. The winner of the Milwaukee-Boston series will play the winner of the Philadelphia-Miami series. And let me tell you right now, the playoff picture in the East is wide open. Kyrie Irving going down for the Boston Celtics opens the door for the Toronto Raptors. It opens the door for the Cleveland Cavaliers. It also opens the door for the Philadelphia 76ers. It also opens the door for the Milwaukee Bucks and anybody in the Eastern Conference for that matter. As I said, I just had to go through the teams. Milwaukee Bucks is an interesting concept though. Before I jump into the Toronto Raptors, I'm going to pull away from that for a second. I'm going to conclude more on the Toronto side of things. I'm going to start off with the Milwaukee Bucks and Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics lost to Milwaukee earlier last week. Now, the Kyrie Irving-less Boston Celtics are going to be without him for the duration of the playoffs, and that's going to affect them. He's one of, if not the best point guards in the National Basketball Association. Let me tell you, I'm going to say this, and people are going to call me crazy. And you can call me crazy. That's allowed. That is most certainly allowed. But I'm going to say right now, the Milwaukee Bucks, I think, are going to defeat the Boston Celtics. A team that's been injury-riddled all year. Milwaukee Bucks certainly have a team that are going to be underrated, and these are going to be the underdogs of the playoffs. You're going to see a matchup in the second round in the Eastern Conference of the Milwaukee Bucks against the Philadelphia 76ers. Two young, up-and-coming squads with Trust the Process on the Philadelphia side. Then you got the Greek Freak and Parker over on the Bucks side. I like what Milwaukee's throwing up. I like what the 76ers are throwing up. Milwaukee will defeat the Boston Celtics. And I think they're going to do it in 6 games. Now, experts are going to say I'm crazy. And hey, if the experts don't know who I am, or if people don't know who I am, then come on. Crazy is my middle name in terms of predictions. Heck, I'm a Toronto fan, people. Been through a lot of craziness. But for some reason, this Buck team, I cannot get over it. I'm actually glad that the Toronto Raptors are not playing the Bucks in the first round. The Bucks will give Boston a hard time. They would have given Toronto a hard time. Miami tonight, they finished 6th. They would have been a team that gave Toronto a hard time as well. Having Dwayne Wade back in the fold of that leadership gives a little bit of hunger to that squad. But I think that 76er squad, that the process there, that breed, the team is just has so much jiggy and swag. They remind me of a lot of the Toronto Maple Leafs of last year when they're going to the playoffs, except Toronto finished in the lower wildcard seed and they had to play the higher squad with Washington Capitals. Now we're talking NBA here. So the 76ers are 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. And they are playing the 6th seed Miami Heat in a very winnable series, I think, for the 76ers. And the Bucks get the Celtics. The Bucks and 76ers will be the teams moving on to the second round, in my opinion. It's going to be an exciting first round for those two squads. I think Boston is going to lose in 6 to Milwaukee, and I'm calling the 76ers in 6 over the Miami Heat. Going back up to the top, the Raptors and Wizards. The Raptors are not going to have an easy coast to this series. They had a little bit of a haunting series previously in 2015 against the Washington Wizards. That's not the same team, obviously, but it's still a dangerous team. The Washington Wizards are. They are a very dangerous team still. You got to watch out. This is not going to be an easy first-round matchup for them. They see the Eastern Conference is wide open. That's because, yes, it is wide open, but the talent is so spread out. Now, it's not as competitive as the Western Conference, but at the end of the day, the Toronto Raptors are the superior team in the Eastern Conference by far. I think they're still better than the Cavaliers are, and I still think they're better than the Boston Celtics are because they've been great all year. Toronto's number 1 for a reason. 1 win shy of 60, but a franchise record 59 wins on the season, a franchise best top seed finish in the Eastern Conference. Well deserved. The Raptors will get through the Washington Wizards, and I think they will do it in 5 games. The Raptors will beat Washington in 5 games. The Raptors will lose the 3rd game in the series for bold prediction after they're up 2-0, but the Raptors will win on home court in Game 5 to defeat the Washington Wizards. The Cleveland Cavaliers, 4-5 against the Pacers. You know what? I'm going to get bold here, and I'm going to say it out loud. I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to defeat the Pacers. And spoiler alert, that's not the bold statement. But I think the Cavaliers are going to beat the Pacers in 5 games. People think the Pacers are going to put up a fight. Don't get me wrong, they're going to put games close, but LeBron is going to go mania on the Indiana Pacers. And Cleveland will defeat the Indiana Pacers in 5 games as well on home court. So the second round is going to shape up as this. The Raptors and Cavs will face off in the second round for another second round matchup. But this time the Raptors are going to come out full hunger. The other round, you're going to have Milwaukee Bucks against the Philadelphia 76ers and the other side of the Eastern Conference. Now, that's the Eastern Conference. We're going to get more to, we're going to get more to the Eastern Conference playoffs as the show goes on. As the playoffs roll around, we're going to just get through the first round predictions and talk to some games that wrapped up the season tonight. But like I said, the Eastern Conference, that's my prediction. What do you think between the Raptors and Wizards? What do you think between the Cavs and Pacers? What do you think about the Bucks, Celtics, or the Sixers, Heat? Let me know what you think. I think my predictions, some of them are bold, especially the Milwaukee one. But do you think that the East being wide open? Maybe I'm not so crazy. Going to the Western side, we know a few things. The Houston Rockets, number 1, defeating all odds and defeating the Golden State Warriors. I'm just kidding. They weren't defeating all odds at all. Houston Rockets, I'm not surprised. They're a team that finished first in the Western Conference. Golden State being a superior team, but having an injury, be without Curry. The Houston Rockets are a team that finished number 1 in the West, and they will have a date with the 8th-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota ending their 14-year playoff drought tonight against the Denver Nuggets. The big win in overtime. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, though, get a date with the Houston Rockets. Sorry for your luck, but let me tell you something. This series is going to be a lot closer than everybody thinks. It's going to be the best series coming out of the Western Conference going into the second round afterwards. I'm going to get to this series in just a few moments to wrap up with the other series. Golden State Warriors and the San Antonio Spurs. Number 2 playing 7. Golden State is going to walk through San Antonio, I think, in 5 games. Portland against the New Orleans Pelicans. The seeds are to be determined. I'm going to go on the other side and go with the Portland Trailblazers, taking over the side of the New Orleans Pelicans on this. And Utah Jazz against Oklahoma City Thunder. The seeds are to be determined. The schedule is going to be released more tonight. As I was saying, not everything's clear at this current point of discussion, but I'm going to pick the Oklahoma City Thunder moving on. And Oklahoma City will be playing in the second round and going forward along with the Portland Trailblazers. And then you have Golden State and the Houston Rockets. And you got to think Houston is potentially going to be playing the Oklahoma City Thunder potentially, or that's going to be Golden State. It's going to set up for a variety of options for the second round in the West. Anything's wide open. But as I said, the best series in this Western Conference first round, Houston, Minnesota. Houston better not go on that court and underestimate the Minnesota Timberwolves, because this team is hungry. This team is good with Butler, with Karl-Anthony Towns, with Andrew Wiggins. This is the future of the Western Conference. The Minnesota Timberwolves are the future of the Western Conference. And you heard it here, and I know I'm not the only person in the world to think that. And I think this series is going to be going 7 games. It's going to go the full 7. This reminds me of what I said at the top. Toronto Maple Leafs against the Washington Capitals last year. I know that's hockey, but a young, tough squad against an experienced squad that's superior talent in people's eyes, but truly they're not. This series is going the max, not just 6. This series is going 7 games, but it is going to be Houston being victorious in a tight 7th game moving forward. And that's the series that's going to be the best series of the Western Conference, and it will be the best series in the whole first round of the playoffs. Next to the Milwaukee Bucks Boston Celtics series. Those are my little predictions with the NBA playoffs. And the seedings are to be determined with Portland, New Orleans, Utah, and Oklahoma City. You know, those respective teams are playing each other, but seeds are to be determined and all that fun stuff. And you can catch those seedings on any social media or any media outlet, website, page, channel, and they'll have that all up to you by later tonight or for Thursday morning or Thursday midday. You can look it up while you're at work as well and start getting those brackets in for the NBA. Start predicting them, and maybe you should consider what I predicted. To give you a quick revamp, got Houston over Minnesota in 7. Golden State over San Antonio in 5. The other series, since the seedings aren't really determined, I'm not going to factor my decision, but I did predict that the Portland Trailblazers and Oklahoma City would be moving on to the second round. And on the other side of the Eastern Conference, I did say the Raptors in 5. I said the Cleveland Cavaliers in 5. The Milwaukee Bucks. I'm going to go, they're going to win that series and defeat the Celtics, and I'm going to say they're going to beat them in 6 games. And then on the other side, with the 76ers and Miami Heat, with the 76ers coming out on top as well, and that will be in 6 games as well for the Philadelphia 76ers. Fill out your brackets on any kind of media page or any fun, or do with your friends, do a pool, do something. It's always fun when it comes to playoff basketball, heck, even playoff football and hockey. And then it comes to pools. Show that you're intelligent and more intelligent than your friends. I encourage that. But what do you think of my predictions? Was I far-fetched? Was I on the dot? Is Minnesota, Houston going to be the best series? Are the Raptors going to have a little bit of difficulty with the Washington Wizards? Or are they going to win in 5 games? Or are they going to sweep them? And are you upset that the Raptors are playing the Cleveland Cavaliers in the second round if both teams do move on? It can be an interesting topic next week for Wednesday here at the Sportscenter Bar and Grill edition of the Game Sports Show. But to wrap up the NBA kind of season, a lot of exciting games going down to the wire with the Timberwolves and Nuggets. Love that. The game that had to get them into the playoffs. They win in overtime. You cannot write that stuff. It's like Colorado and St. Louis last week in the NHL. You got to love that stuff when it comes to football, basketball, or hockey, anything. Those are great sports. That's why you love sports. It's like the way they wrote up the schedule. They made it happen on purpose. It's like somebody could tell the future. That is amazing. That is just fantastic. I cannot believe it, how you can't write this stuff. A lot of storybook moments coming up in the world of sports recent years. And you know what? The Timberwolves winning in a very exciting fashion on home court against the Denver Nuggets. Congratulations to the Timberwolves getting forward. Even though you got a first round date against Houston, you're going to make it quite the series. Toronto losing to the Miami Heat in the game of the season. But you know what? That is okay. It's just the final game. Miami was probably a bit more hungry to move up in the ranks and the standings. It's a game that you were able to fine-tune your skills. You shouldn't walk into a game throwing a game, and the Raptors were not doing that. But they weren't playing their best of all ball that I've seen all year. But you know what? They were trying different plays, executing different plays I noticed on the court. And I felt the Raptors did go out and try to win the game. Miami just was the better team tonight. But I believe this Raptor team is playoff ready, and they're going to put on a show in this year's NBA playoffs. Go, Raptors, go. We, the North, Canada, is backing you up all the way. And it's time to get that respect from the American side of the media, as the Raptors, you deserve it. And when we have a second round date with the Cavaliers based on my predictions being correct, we are definitely going to cement ourselves in terms of respect. And Milwaukee Bucks over the Celtics, like I said, keep an eye on that. The Greek Freak is going to put on a show against those Kyrie Irving-less Celtics. Good team Boston still has, but something tells me about those Bucks. They aren't to be messed with. They aren't going to be caught in the headlights. And those Raptors, they're hungry for that title. Now, I'm done being corny with my one-liners. I'm going to take a quick break here. I'm going to enjoy some more food here at Sportscenter Bar and Grill. St. Marie. It's yours truly, David McCaig. We're going to take our break. When we come back, myself and Jamie, I'm going to bring Jamie back in. We're going to have our famous The Game Sports Show Roundtable discussion, the 2-person edition, here on Wednesday, April 11th edition of The Game Sports Show live at Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Don't touch that dial and don't go away. You don't want to miss what's coming up next.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sportscenter rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sportscenter, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Thank you for tuning in to the Game Sports Show, broadcasting Wednesday nights from SportsCenter Bar and Grill in Sault, Ontario, and online at thegamesportshow.podbean.com. sportscenterbar.com. I hope you are enjoying the broadcast. If you want to hear more of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national talk show in the world of sports, visit our website at thegamesportshow.com. There you can hear a pair of other broadcasts of the game. If you like hockey, Thursday nights are for you, as the Game Sports Show is at Boston Pizza with Dave McCaig, along with his regular contributors Justin Heichel and Dane Hantro. This show focuses on hockey in the wintertime and baseball in the summer, and includes guests and interviews from local and national figures. The Game can also be heard Monday nights on WUPN Eagle 95.1 locally, or online at radioeaglesioux.com from 6 to 7 p.m. on Monday nights. The full 2-hour show from the Wicked Sister in downtown Sault, Michigan can be heard live on our YouTube channel. Just go to the channel Scott Nason. You can also hear the podcast of the show at thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Yours truly, along with Dave McCaig and our weekly contributors Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports, and EJ Russell on the Team Wireless hot seat, as we focus on local, regional, and national sports, including high school basketball and hockey, junior hockey, Lake Superior State University athletics, the Detroit sports scene, and more. And you can hear all 3 versions of the game at our website. That's once again thegamesportshow.com, or go to the podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look for our channel, Scott Nason, and keep it locked here to the Game for all your local, regional, and national sports talk that you just can't get enough of.
Get wicked at the Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for the whole family. Start off with some appetizers like the crab dip, served with warm non-bread strips and soft pretzel bites, or their antibiotic and hormone-free boneless chicken wings with 5 choices of sauces. Entrees include the barbecue pulled pork sandwich, the #1 selling drunken cow burger, or Philly cheesesteaks, and they're on special all day Thursdays. The Wicked Sister also offers a gluten-free menu and catering. Bring the whole family. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashman Street, open 7 days a week.
Hi, this is Joe Bowen, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show from Sault Ste. Marie.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McCaig, alongside Jamie Antonello, like we have been here all night at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, Sault Ste. Marie. We've had quite a great show thus far, as we always do, discussing the unfortunate incident of Humboldt. We've discussed the Masters, Patrick Reed winning the Masters. We've discussed NBA, the Raptors clinching first in the East, playing the Washington Wizards in the first round, the playoff picture all coming together in the NBA. Now we're at the third part of the show, where we're going to discuss and be involved and have, bringing up 3 terms there, a round table discussion. And usually with a round table discussion, it's usually just me, you, or it's me, you, and 2 other people. That's the only, this show on Wednesdays, it's either just me, you,
Never had 3.
or it's me, you, and 2 other people in terms of Dane and Justin. We the 3, it's always just the 2 of us, but with this round table discussion, you can make it work with 2 people, with 3 people, 4. It can't work with 1, though. This round table discussion, you could make up your own topics, and it's just kind of lame. Then you gotta have someone with you. You do have to argue both sides, as you were saying there. So we have some topics we're going to discuss, and we're going to bring it up sporadically as we go, though. I need to keep the listeners enticed what the topics are going to be. So there's 3 topics you and I are going to discuss today, and we usually get given 20 minutes for this round table discussion. We get a little bit of leeway to the 25 rank, but we're going to try to keep it as short but as entertaining as possible. And the purpose of this round table is actually for Jamie and I to try to disagree and try to go back and forth on a few things, or just to have basic points that support one another in terms of continuous conversation. That's the point of this round table. When myself, Scott, Butch, and EJ do it on Mondays, you got the 4 of us doing it. We have different topics we bring to the table, so you choose your own topic, and that's what we discuss. Today, Jamie and I both have a topic that we brought, and then I brought in the second one as a topic to be the filler on the third topic, because these 2 topics that we're going to discuss after this one I'm going to bring up are going to take up probably the entire time. So, Jamie, we're going to jump right into it right now. And we're going to start with WWE. Listeners, don't turn the dial to another station. Don't exit the app on Podbean right now. Just hear me out with this WWE. I know there's a lot of fans that are very upset at the WWE as WrestleMania. I watched WrestleMania with someone who is vaguely a part of the Game Sports Show. We're still waiting his appearance, Nathan Inch, and Andre LaFrancois, our IT guy for the Game Sports Show. Watched WrestleMania, and I watched it in complete disgust. Saw Ronda Rousey's debut. Ronda Rousey put Stephanie McMahon in an arm lock for the third time in the fight and made her tap. Seeing Kurt Angle come out with Triple H, the entrances in that match were fantastic, though. Kurt Angle coming out with the "You suck." That brought back memories to when I was a younger lad, as you would say. That was the best and most entertaining match, I will say.
Oh, yeah.
I liked it. I did like that match. It was scripted fine. Triple H, Kurt Angle, they all, when they fought, even Ronda Rousey picking up Triple H. Like that's entertaining. That's WWE. Everyone knows that it's not real wrestling. Sorry, kids. But it's not real wrestling. But Ronda Rousey did a great job. And those punches she was throwing to Triple H actually boxing in the ring, they looked pretty legit. They made it look like it was legit. Ronda Rousey did a pretty good job. So that fight was good. The females fighting, from a perspective on my end, I think it was a great fight in terms of Jax beating the crap out of Alexa Bliss, was her name. Big woman, absolutely overpowering her. That just seems like a real match. The one thing I want to bring forth right now is, yes, I love that Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon match. That was one of the favorite things tonight, but that wasn't my absolute favorite. You know what my absolute favorite is? The Undertaker coming out against John Cena. Seeing The Undertaker absolutely dismantle John Cena and give him the tombstone pile driver through the middle of that ring at WrestleMania in New Orleans at the Superdome. And let me tell you, pinning him and seeing him come out as The Undertaker was the longest entrance I've ever seen in the history of the WWE, to be honest with you. But I feel like they really didn't have to have that long of an entrance. But I feel like The Undertaker retired that character in his previous loss in WrestleMania, but he came back because of how much of a disappointment WrestleMania was in his last match. I kind of wish he would have came out as the American Badass. I think that would have made more sense for him to come out as American Badass, but I get why he came out as The Undertaker, to maybe come out and officially re-retire. Maybe he's coming back. I'm not sure. The guy is above 50 years old. He's had hip surgery, but The Undertaker and John Cena, along with Kurt Angle, Triple H, Ronda Rousey, and Stephanie McMahon, were the highlights of the night, with a few other good matches. But those two matches, or those two fights, that were top notch in terms of entertainment. There was the mid-level matches I discussed, were like meh. I didn't really care to watch, but I watched. Then there was this, the absolute shit show of a match. I'm going to say that word twice more. Shit show. Once again, it was a shit show. And that match was Brock Lesnar's against Roman Reigns. Now, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched WrestleMania and you are going to watch it, press pause for the next 4 seconds. Brock Lesnar defeated Roman Reigns to retain the WWE Championship. Universal Championship. Stand corrected. Now that you re-hit play, if you cared about what happens in that match, or if you've been listening and just rolled your eyes, a couple points to bring up about this match. First off, Brock Lesnar in the Roman Reigns fight was one of the most boring things I've ever watched in life. I was enjoying some Molson products and some beverages, and I stopped drinking those beverages because of how non-entertained I was. And the headache that was coming through my eyes and through the back of my head due to the amount of disgust it was on this television. Roman Reigns had like 3 minutes of momentum, not even, and the momentum was him throwing a power slam or a spear or the Superman punch. Okay, and the rest of the match was Brock Lesnar. This fight continued into Roman Reigns either throwing a Superman punch or a spear, and then Brock Lesnar giving out F5s like they're going out of style, or trying to put someone through a table. Then all of a sudden Roman Reigns bleeding to his blood pack on the top of his head. I'm going to be honest here. The fans in this ring in New Orleans started chanting after Brock Lesnar's second consecutive F5. Brock Lesnar picked up Roman Reigns and gave him 5 F5s in a row. And sorry, the F5 apparently is supposed to be the move in WWE that puts everyone out cold to lunch. It's like the equivalent to the stunner, the rock bottom. I'm not sure how that would be effective. I love the rock. A finisher, but the best finisher is a tombstone pile driver. And that's what's been compared to the F5, is this move apparently spinning their neck and slamming on the ground. It's Brock Lesnar did 5 of these to Roman Reigns, and he kicked out total of the match. And then Roman Reigns gets that 6th one where he's gushing blood, and then he pins. But during his 3rd one, after he kept picking him up and giving him the F5, you can tell Brock Lesnar did not give a rat's ass what was going on, because he's not going to be in WWE. In Hawaii, he retained, spoiler, his WWE title after he's going to UFC. Really threw me off. But with Dana White and the fan must have loved it when he heard this come from the fans. Started chanting, boring. They started chanting, boring. And then they started chanting, "This is awful." That's 3 words to chant for an entire stadium of 78,000 people to chant that. You did something wrong. You did something wrong. And nobody gave good reviews of WrestleMania. Nobody liked the overall show. They just liked some of the entertainment, as I said, with The Undertaker and Ronda Rousey's matchup. And Jamie, WWE took a little bit of a hit on Sunday in terms of, I think they've been taking a hit for the last 10 years, which leads to my question. Long and behold, after that little discussion about WrestleMania. First off, do the fans have a right to chant what they did? Secondly, how bad has the WWE sunk now?
Before I answer your question, I'm gonna eat my own words a little bit from last week. I was not impressed with Ronda's previous showings in WWE, and she's started to figure it out now. Right? She's realized what her niche is, I think, in the ring. She's starting to tell a story. That's part of the deal, right? It's a story. Like, that's what gets people hyped up.
Yeah.
Who cares if you go in and you beat each other up for 5 minutes, right? Like, it's the story, it's all the build-up, it's the hate, it's the animosity between them. But bottom line, your first question was, do the fans have a right to be upset about it?
And chant what they did.
Absolutely, and I think Vince McMahon would be the first person to say that. Bad press in WWE is good press for them. They're, like, sure, you might have, like, the numbers on TV going down a little bit, but the WWE network has kind of replaced a lot, and the diehard fans are loving it because it's basically like a Netflix subscription. It's like $10 a month. You get all access to everything behind the scenes, all that stuff, and the diehards are all buying it. The diehards, WrestleMania sells out every single year, no matter where you go, right?
I watched it.
Yeah, it was great, and sure, a couple of them were boring, right? It's an event. The diehards are going to go all the time, and when it even like the people that are not going to go every single year, if it gets anywhere near you state-wise, if it gets close to Michigan, right, Canadians will go. And it's such an event, right? It's the biggest event for them all year. Honestly, they could have cut out the headlining match, and people would have probably loved it on the internet.
Yeah.
It got ripped apart a little bit because of Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns fight. It was boring. People were more excited. Dudes snuck beach balls in. There was like 7 of them flying around. People were way more excited about those all game, the whole match. Nobody was really focused, but like the crowd was electric when Kurt Angle and Ronda were fighting Triple H and Steph McMahon. Ronda picking up Triple H, like you can't fake that.
No.
Like she's a beast, man.
That's it.
And I never doubted she was a beast. I doubted whether or not she could be a good enough storyteller, and she's starting to prove me wrong. And they're working with her. They're starting to build a brand with her. And but I think hands down, Undertaker, John Cena.
Yeah.
That's a great moment. You'd like to see that.
He absolutely dismantled him.
It did dismantle him, and that's what you got to do, right? Like, look at my boy Ric Flair. He was the absolute best. He goes down. He's a legend. All these guys still talk about him because he knew how to tell a story. He could get everybody hyped up, and he made you look like a stud when you lost. So he goes, and so credit to John Cena for that. He knows how to make the other guy look good to win, right? Because there's up and down. You can't be defending world champion for 30 years in a row. Can't do it, right? There's got to be up and down. There's got to be turnover. You got to build the fan base. You got to do that, right? There's got to be a story. And I was just noticing that they're talking about for WrestleMania 35, Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. Be a match. You better believe Rick would be fired up, just letting loose a couple woos.
Yeah, a couple.
And but I forget the second part of your question. I'm not gonna lie, I went off on a tangent there a little bit.
the fact of if the WWE, this has sunk them badly into the ground after WrestleMania. You pretty much answered that.
I pretty much answered it. Yeah, I think WWE Network is flying. I don't think they're worried about it. Any press is good press for them. And Vince McMahon is a genius. I think he will lose a shit ton of money on the XFL in 2020. But, yeah, WWE, the brand is big. Diehards are always going to be there. Despite the fact that you get a crappy headlining match every once in a while, they're just going to really, really, really make sure WrestleMania 35 is way better. And they're going to have to build it up. Maybe they don't have as many on the undercard that are as good. Maybe they build it up a little bit so people are kind of enjoying it, right? But you got to save the good storytelling for the headlining match.
Still can't believe The Undertaker didn't come out as the American Badass. He retired The Undertaker. It would have been too good to see him come out on that motorbike, but I guess Triple H took the story with taking out with his motorcycle with Stephanie McMahon to come out with. But at the end of the day, Brock Lesnar's match, my freaking God. Ay. Brock, get out, go. Roman Reigns, you were bad too. I wish The Rock would have came down late to smack it down on Brock Lesnar and just took that time. I was hoping something else was going to happen there, but that fight should not be included in their promotions when they promote the DVD when it comes out for sure. So, Jamie, that's going to be the first question in terms of your answer. My answer with that, I think, is pretty straightforward. WWE, it's a brand, like you said, but I think this main event is catching a lot of social media attention in terms of how bad the headline was. So I think that has given them a bad rep on how to close out shows. So I feel WWE is going to have to try to win some fans back in terms of interest. Not that I'll watch it, to be honest, at the end of the day, but in terms of, as I said, the most entertaining matches were there, and I got to give a shout out to Charlotte Flair. She reminds me of Ric Flair a whole bunch on the ring. I actually think that's good. And she's also a very beautiful woman as well. Oh, you didn't say easy like that. Next question. The next question on our roundtable discussion, and this is more. I'm going to go with that. This is yours because you worded it, I guess, and the other one could be mine. Doesn't matter either way. We kind of worded each other out with this, and with that WWE topic, we did go a little bit more in terms of minutes that we kind of wanted to because we're at the 15. Producers are telling me we're at the 15-minute mark with it. So, we might be a little extended on this part of the show, but that's fine because we have fun on this roundtable discussion. Second question. Underestimating opponents. Does it truly give you karma? Does it affect mentally? Now, what this question means in terms of this roundtable, and like I said, with the purpose of the roundtable is either me, Jamie, going to back up an idea, or we're going to get into it in an argument. Where one argument came with football, it came down between Montana and Brady. It did come down between Montana, and I pulled out the stats because I had my laptop to my right. But at the end, this question, you did pull the normal stats of life. But this question has nothing to do with that. Let's just stay with the roundtable is 4, and this question I'm kind of interested to see what we get to with this. And this is interesting because Don Cherry's comments. Okay, this is what promoted this question here. And what I meant by it is, let's say my team, I'm not going to use the 2 grams, it's too easy. Let's say I'm going to make up a team. I'm going to call myself the Game Sports Show Iceman, or against the Sault Ste. Marie Steelers in an exhibition match or a playoff match. Any type of sport you want to think of. For the purpose of this question, I want to make it a playoff question, though. Think of it in that mentality. We're in a playoff match. I finished first in my division, conference. You, sir, finished last in the conference division.
Barely made the playoffs.
But you made the playoffs, so you squeezed in as an 8th seed if you want to go that route. Does me going in thinking, hey, I'm the first seed, this is going to be a cakewalk. Is that an issue? Now, it depends if you're in junior hockey or if you're in junior football. NHL, now, it's so much different in leagues. So, we're going to make this a 2-part question. Does it matter in terms of junior and entry-level pro or minor hockey? Does that affect it? And then go to pro. Use your example for different. You can't compare pro with minor hockey. You can't. Or with minor football, anything of that. So, that's the 2-part question. Is karma actually a thing? Does it come to bite you in the ass in the end? Or does it just give you that confidence to win?
Yeah, again, bottom line, it really depends on what level you're at, and it depends on what sport you're playing. I think we're going to base it from a playoff perspective. If it's a series, I don't think it matters. Because you'll get that out of your system in a game or two, right?
absolutely.
I mean, if it's a 3-game series and you lose, right? But if it's a 5-game or a 7-game series, I'm going to go and say, doesn't matter if you're 5 or you're 25, it doesn't matter. You will be able to piece it together. Even if you screwed up one game and it leaks into another game, you're going to have 3 more games minimum to be able to figure it out if you were the far superior team. Football is another animal. We've seen it happen. New England Patriots, New York Giants, Super Bowl 2007.
Yeah.
Not that they underestimated them.
This year? Is that fair too?
This year, maybe a little bit.
Foles. That's
Yeah,
just
because of Foles, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Philly was really good. A lot of credit to Philly, right? And Doug Peterson having massive stones calling that game.
Oh, God.
But holy cow.
Yeah.
But we see it happen at every level. Bottom line, though, right? One game, one and dones. It happens all the time. Ask Virginia this year in March Madness. UMBC Retrievers. Let's go. Right? 16 seed. Never been done before. Any given day, you can beat any given team one game, right? Think of Miracle, right? Miracle on Ice. The movie. We're going to play them 10 times. They may beat us 9, but not this game, right? One game, anything can happen. Series, you can usually figure it out and claw your way out, right? I've seen 10-year-old teams. I've played on teams. You've played on teams, I'm sure. The year before rep is introduced into the minor hockey leagues, you often will end up seeing a couple of the best players, their dads are like, hey, we're going to coach together. You see it happen all the time. You dominate, you cruise through the season, and you lose a game every once in a while. You run into a hot goalie, guys missing the net. Kids are kids, right? Doesn't matter if you're 7, if you're 18, right? Even if you're 30 in the league, right? We saw it last year, Golden State, right? They broke all the records, broke Chicago Bulls' record for wins in a season, right? You're going to lose a game every once in a while, right? But when it comes down to a series, you have to play consistently. It's very hard. I'll tell you right now, if Virginia and UMBC played in a 7-game series, that series would have been 4-1 for Virginia. They would have lost the first game and then crushed them 4 games in a row. And if the Patriots got a second chance at the Giants, I got to believe the Giants probably take 2 out of that series, but I think it's a 4-2 series for New England. You learn from playing a game. There's only so much you can do in halftime in a game when it's a one and done. So that's my opinion, but yeah.
I like those points. You took it to that point of series do matter. But I'm going to go to the point of say mentality and karma is a thing in sports. 100%. I'm not saying, and please, Sioux listeners, this has nothing to do with Don Cherry. Okay, so please, okay, this comment has nothing to do with Don Cherry. Please erase that. That's maybe have sparked this question in our minds, but that comment I just stated had nothing to do with Don Cherry. I'm saying it from personal experience, from being on both the receiving and the giving ass-taking end of it, okay? When you go into a game, you got to have your team as a mindset that anything can happen in a game. You have to go in there and win. If you go into a game that is single elimination or in a series, karma will bite you in the ass in terms of if you think you're better than a team. You let off the gas. The momentum in a series is so severe that if you win that one game in a 3-game series or a 5 or 7-game series, it's crucial. That one game gives you that momentum, gives that seed of hope. Now, I played junior hockey for the Sault Thunderbirds one year, and we played the Manitoulin Islanders in the playoff round. Did we sweep them? Absolutely. We outscored them by 8+ a game. Yours truly was third on the team in points in the playoffs, for Christ's sake. And that was after my great seasons, for Christ's sake. I was a washed-up veteran at that time. That's comparing the junior hockey side of things, where I think it's a little bit lopsided. When you are a lower seed, you do usually. But let's rewind a second. You know what happened in the NOJHL this year? Yeah. The Timmins Rock beat Powassan. Okay, so I'm going to use that as an example in terms of, I bet you Powassan took the little hats of their first seed that they had. They said, oh, maybe they did think it was a cakewalk. And I'm not saying that they thought they were hot dogs or thought they were better, but I'm sure they went into the series planning what they were thinking for the next round. I was guilty for that playing as well. Everyone is guilty of it. So at the end of the day, anything can happen in the world of sports in a one game or any game series. You got to go into every game thinking that these people are here that I'm playing against in this league because they're good enough to be here. Sure, there's some teams in junior hockey or some other teams that are like, oh, why are they teams? Doesn't matter. They're in the league for a reason. Those players made that team for a reason. So anything can happen on a given night. You get off the draw, you score a quick couple goals, you're down, everyone gets yelling at each other. I'm going to use men's league as an example. And you can ask Dustin Grondin this question. We were in men's league last year in the finals. We had to only win one game. The team playing us had to beat us twice. And our team was far more superior than these guys, I feel, except they were smarter than this other team. They beat us both games. What beat us was they got early leads, they passed the puck better, and we had players on the team and that were actually discouraging to each other in men's league. This is men's league that I'm discussing here. Point of the story is, men or women, competitive nature. Any game you go into, you got to think that you're not the best guy on the ice, the best player. You got to use your team. You got to work hard and go into the game not underestimating your opponent. So that's the question in terms of answering of mentality. It 100% affects it. And I think it matters for any sport, and it matters if it's 1 game, 3 or 5 or 7 game series. It matters at any given time. You got to go in there and be prepared. Jamie, I know you got some final thoughts.
And to continue off what you're saying, you brought up men's league, right? And I'm going to say a lot of that comes down to who your coach is too, right? Especially, I mean, when you're 7 or 8, you're not going to listen to the coach that much, right? As much of a pep talk, like if you're better than them, you're going to be better than them at that level, right? There's not much you can do there. But junior level, OHL level, any sport, doesn't matter. As soon as you hit about 15 and it's a competitive sport, your coach matters there. He's your motivator. He makes adjustments, right? If it's hockey, right, decides who gets his ice time. Basketball, same thing. Football is more of an adjustment game, right? Okay, we got to move this guy here. We got to do this, right? There's different things you got to be able to do. Men's league, there's usually no coach, right? There's got to be 1 or 2 guys that are universal voice. And like you said, if you have guys that are negative dudes, they're going to bring you down when you're losing, right? Those can't be the guys who have the strongest voices. And if they do, bad things happen.
Good points. Good topic. I want to get everyone's feedback with those first 2 topics, including this third one that's going to come up here. We are at the 24-minute mark on this part 3, so we're already going to overtime. I've already given the flag to the producers that we're going to probably hit an extra 10 minutes here with this extra topic coming up here too. So buckle up for this third topic. But to wrap up that second topic, I think it's fair to say we both agree that karma is a thing. 100% for sure, and it can affect mentality and your mental effect on the game. Pun intended. There we go. Third question of our roundtable and final question. And I'm going to sum this up, and maybe you can state it better if you don't think I explain it that well. Okay, let's go that way. So, the question. We're going to take kids that grew up in the 80s and early 90s. So we're going to range from 85 to 93. We'll give it that range.
Fits us both in there.
I think it fits us both exactly in there. And also the kind of era with hockey, sort of similar. Same with football. Things are transitioning more in the other way. And we're going to compare our generation, I like to call it that age group bracket, with kids that grew up in the late 90s. And that's 95. Okay, well, I'll be nice. I'm going to go 94s. I don't want to say that. I kind of think that they're almost the same ground of level as us. I actually want to exclude 94s. I'm going to go 97s with present day. So 94 to 96, sorry you guys are out because you both are on the fence of this in terms of when the rules are transitioning. So we're just going hypothetical here too. So kids that grew up in that era. Now, let's say we got drafted in our draft year. Which my draft year, wow, I should actually know this answer. My draft year is 2009. Yeah. Yours would have been 2010. So the 97s, 98s, 99, their draft years, obviously when Connor McDavid got drafted in 2015. Then you got 16, 17, you got that age group. 85, your draft year was 2002. Around that area. So I'm going to kind of use this question towards more the late 80s portion more than us, okay? Because I think this question affiliates more with that. If they got drafted, not in their draft year, not in 2001, 2, or 3, whatever it was, they got drafted now in 2018. This was their draft year. And the 98s, 99s that get drafted this year, they don't get drafted in 2018, 2019. Freaky Friday shit is happening. They're jumping to get drafted in 2002 or 2001, 2000, which is still a tough era. Okay, you can even go back. Let's take the kids now. The question is, the kids now compared to the kids before, which is us and before that, we get drafted in the future. How are we doing now and the way we grew up playing the game, any sport? How are the kids doing that play the hockey or sport now if they played in the past? And how would the kids, you can even state how the kids would do now and how we would do then. Obviously, I'm sitting in this chair doing a radio show. I didn't get drafted, so that must make that point. But people are discussing how the leagues and everything has changed. Rules have changed, and the games have gone softer, and it's easier to get drafted or scouted now because of social media and playing leagues. They say it's easier now. I wish I had some of those opportunities that were presented now, but that's the growth about the world. So sum it all up. Kid from this era gets drafted in the early 90s. Late 90s, early thousands. That rough era of hockey or football or basketball. We get drafted in our draft year nowadays. Who does better? Who survives? Who thrives? I think I named that pretty good, Jamie. I think I got that done. I'll give it to you now to answer those questions.
Yeah, and I think you did a pretty good job of explaining that. And I think we get even more of a discrepancy thinking of people that are born in the early 80s even to be comparable. Because you get drafted in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? Yeah. But I think you and I are going to be on the same page. I think we're 3 for 3 tonight.
Yeah, which is fine.
Agreeing on the round table, which really means we need 4 people on the round table next week to get some spice it up in here a little bit.
I'll have to tell them to retract their maternity leaves and their vacation days so we can come.
That's true. They can put the kids to bed and come out for one night. But bottom line, like I said, we're going to agree here, I think, and say that with hockey specifically to start. Yeah,
that's probably the topic that we're gearing towards the most, along with football. Those are going to be the 2 sports we're going to touch.
The 2 most, well, really, out of the 4 major sports, the only 2 contact sports technically. Yeah. And it's just because with contact sports, the rules are always changing. They're always trying to protect the head. Equipment gets better too, but they're always trying to protect people from injury. So the rules defensively change. They take away things. They allow offense to flourish. And I'm going to talk about how that's actually the opposite in football and hockey. But bottom line, I think that a kid who is born in 2000, his draft year is right now. You let him grow up until 2017. He's a 17-year-old kid. He's used to the way it's gone. He doesn't start hitting until he's 13 years old in hockey.
How old did we start hitting? 7?
I think 9.
9, okay.
Yeah, I think everybody went through a hitting clinic when we were 9, okay. I believe, and around that area,
yeah.
8, 9 years old. Now it is 13 years old. They are in high school pretty much before they start learning how to hit, and they don't do a hitting school anymore. You and I will both remember it is a week-long thing. You're in a hitting school before you're allowed to. You get rocked. You get used to getting hit into the boards. There's grown men just giving you a nice little light body check, and you're in full period because you have to get used to it. You can't teach it. I coach football. I've coached hockey. You coach hockey. You see some kids just can't handle contact.
No, absolutely.
It happens. But all of these kids are learning how to not handle contact very well. We're seeing minor hockey dip like crazy in our city, especially. The program is going down, and I think it's part of the deal. So, kid is born in 2000, grows up till 2017. He's a prospect. He's an elite kid. Leads the OHL in scoring. Going to the show. Whoop, 1999. Going to the draft. I think he goes from a top 5 pick to a mid-second rounder just because he can't lay the body. And there's no Gretzky rule. It's not happening for this guy, right? You got to earn that. But I more on that point, a lot of it has to do with the rules, right? and the way that sport has come. And sure, safety's paramount, 100% get that, right? Scott Stevens ended a lot of careers. Let's be real, right?
Imagine him in his youth right now. In his youth right now, playing against McDavid, can't catch him. But I'm sorry, I don't know if with those hits that were allowed back then. I don't know, some of these guys that are little Marcia So, those guys might not be where they're at right now.
And kids don't learn to keep their head up in sports a lot now. It's a sad thing, right? And it's funny, though, because scoring in the NHL is down from where it used to be. You talk about 1985. It was regular occurrence to have a 7-5 hockey game. We just saw the Pittsburgh Penguins beat the Philadelphia Flyers 7-0, and we're both like, how? How do you score that many goals now? Usual games are like 3-2, right? The nets are getting smaller, right? Goalies are getting bigger, right? Things happen. And styles change. It's absurd. Football is the opposite. We're seeing way more points getting scored in football now, right? Passing game evolves. The football changes. Equipment changes. Guys are faster, bigger, stronger. There's more emphasis on throwing the ball, less on running the ball. There's more time on the clock. But I'm going to say, like, specifically for hockey, which is really where I know you were gearing the question towards. I could go on and on and on about the other three sports, and because I think things are very different in each sport. But bottom line, give me the old days. Give me a Don Cherry Rock'em Sock'em all day, right? Those are the guys I love to see, and I think it's a travesty that they're taking contact out of youth sports, and sports deliver is such an avenue for kids to develop themselves, learn about themselves, and as much as like you're building a physical toughness, it's a mental toughness too, because you don't learn a lot of these life skills, right? But you can always relate back to things that happen in your life, right? I remember in sports, you roll an ankle, you take a big hit, you get the wind knocked out of you, right? Being able to overcome that and come back, right? It's resiliency, right? In life, you get dealt a blow, you don't get a promotion. You're applying for a job, or you get beat out by somebody else, you get yelled at by your boss. Kids nowadays are just like crumbling, or they yell back at their boss and they'll get fired. You can't do that. Like, and we're getting a little bit political now. I'm gonna rein it in, but we're a round table, and you've done exactly what you want to do to me on these, Dave, is get me fired up. And I haven't been this mad since we talked about Brady and Montana. But
Montana's better.
I mean, thanks for agreeing with me. Yeah.
That's why I wanted to see what you said. You did remember what I said.
Not bad, right?
That's right.
Bottom line, toughness prevails. You can raise a kid from 85 to 2002, throw him into 2016. Sure, he might not go as high. He's going to play a lot longer than the kid who goes 2000 to 2017 has to go play in 85. I'll tell you that right now.
100%. Just to clear the water, I said Brady was better, and I still think he is. Moving on from that, I'm going to give you my answer with this. Quick, short, and sweet. I think everyone knows what I was kind of going towards. Now, I don't like using the example of when I played, but I kind of have to go there for one example. That the way when I played the game, and Jerry Patinga will back this up, legend of the Sioux Thunderbirds, and Tyler Kennedy, friend, and Paul Maurice, friend of the show as well, Winnipeg Jets head coach. The game has evolved so much. Watching the game the way it is now, when I played, I was a guy who was able to put the puck in the net and move the puck well. I was able to play a two-way forward, they would call me, okay? But my speed was my specialty, all right? It still is to this day. Where that's been the asset to my game, is my strong skating. Where that is really big now is that strong skating, because you can't touch or do anything really anymore. The contact's not the same. So I would have thrived more now than I would have even before when I first started playing hockey. Because when I first started playing, and I mean when I first started playing hockey, I mean junior hockey. Yeah. When I first started hockey, the game was tough. I had the two-way fit, but I didn't have the two-way mental toughness, I want to say. The hitting was huge. You got rocked when your head was down. You heard footsteps. You knew you were getting absolutely clocked. Whatever league that is in. Midget, Bantam, junior, major junior, any of those leagues. And the furthest I was up was OHL for a brief stint with the Hounds at a camp here. So I didn't play in the OHL, those types of levels, I can imagine, but I remember getting rocked by Jake Muzzin at camp here. And he's a big dude, and that was in the late thousands, okay? This question's geared towards the early days of the 97 to 2003 when hitting was absolutely pure lethal. Didn't matter where you hit and how you hit. Stick checking was bigger. You got hooked down and tripped. There were sometimes the refs said, it's overtime. I'm not calling it. It's hockey. Football. There were some big trucks back in the day. These guys now, I think, are bigger, faster, stronger, like you said. But to wrap up the question, so you take, not even me, my generation, we were just at the gap of when things were starting to change, but our generation was in that tough era. I'm going to take a 1987 birth year hockey player who may have my talent or a high-level hockey talent or yourself with football, and I'm putting them in the future now. The guy would lead the league in penalty minutes, first off, because of our mentality. And I guarantee you no one's moving us in the corner. No one's moving us in front of the net. We'll take that beating and we'll score garbage goals like Chris Draper and Darren McCarty and all those guys were doing. Like JVR's doing in Toronto, we would do that better and we would score 45 goals. Where you take someone now like Connor McDavid and you put him in Wayne Gretzky, now we're going back in time when there's wooden sticks in those skates. I'm sorry, I can skate in those older skates and the skates I have now. So I know that I can probably outskate those guys that are back then because, or guys that we could outskate because we grew with this evolution of sticks and grew with everything. So my whole point is, I'll take anyone in our older generation than anybody younger to go back in time or forward in time because the league was tougher. It was two-way hockey. It was, you had to man up and play. You heard footsteps, you were getting rocked. When you scored, you sellied like you were a hot dog with mustard on it, quoting Don Cherry there, because you earned that flipping goal. So, simply put, would the younger generation last in our time? Is the main part of the question. No. I'm sorry, they would not. If you put someone in the 1,000 birth year and just taking drafted this year and getting drafted in the early 90s, late 90s, early thousands even, Scott Stevens is going to eat you alive. Because you're not getting grown up and taught the way that we got taught because of concussions and that. I understand it's different now. Concussions and a lot of things. But the way hockey was is the way hockey was better. Look at Sault Ste. Marie, for example. We're not thriving in hockey anymore. No. Little hockey town, Ontario, whatever the heck you want to call us, hockey town, Ontario. That's not us anymore. I'm sorry, but I have credit to all the minor hockey associates, the Thunderbirds and all that. Great job with Midget and everything, Jimmy Henderson, all those guys. But we're trying to rebuild that identity. We're trying to get that two-way speed game back that the Sioux had and what hockey was known for. Would we last in the future if this was me getting drafted as 18 and coming 10 or in today's?
Right now.
We wouldn't be perfect, but we would fit in because we would make people scared of us.
A lot of third liners.
We'd be a lot of third line guys, and we would be 40-goal third line guys because you can't put us in the top two lines because we're not talented enough to keep up with those guys. But we can get that puck in the net by simply running guys and getting the puck there. We'd have a Brad Marchand. Much I don't like that playing against that guy. He's the perfect guy to compare to what is now and the past combined.
He's a good middle guy.
Because he's a good middle guy who can put up those points, but he's a top-line guy, mind you. But he has that mentality to fight, be grit, and get hit. But he's got, the only downfall is we weren't sucks. Sorry, Brad. When we got hit, we got up and fought. So, sum it all up, younger generation would not, I feel, last in our era of toughness, nor with us jumping forward would we be able to handle the certain speeds.
True.
And not hitting. So there's 2 points to that story for me. And Jamie, final thoughts.
Yeah, and just to build off of that, because we're arguing the same side here, right? So you got to bring up the points. And sure, you could throw Connor McDavid. Let's say he manages to figure out to shoot just as well with the wooden stick, heavier equipment, different things. He's still moving, right? You got a lot of stand-up goalies. He's got some room to pick the nets there, right? But all I can say is we bring up Scott Stevens for a reason, because it doesn't matter how fast Connor McDavid is. Scott just has to hit him once. Once. Connor can go, they can play 5 times. First 4 games, Connor has 55 points. Scores 1 million goals. Scott goes for open ice hit after open ice hit. Miss. All he has to do is connect once. I'll tell you, the next 5 games, Connor scores like 1 goal and he's a -5. I'm telling you.
And probably concussed.
Yeah. He's probably concussed. And I'm not putting down. Different eras of hockey, you can't compare. So you can't compare Gretzky if you get the same amount of points now. We've discussed this before. We can't do that because hockey has changed, but toughness was more relevant, when we were younger. And now, speed is more of a factor now than when it was back then. And the goalie equipment, everything's changed. So we know the game has evolved, but I still feel the older generation can still teach the younger boys a lesson.
Respect your elders.
And respect the elders. I like that. Jamie, you and I, we're done here. We're cooked. We ate the chicken. We had pizza. We had Molson products. Great night talking sports. Man, before I wrap up with the show, I want to say thanks for coming on by.
Thank you for having me, as usual. And I'll be back next week.
Next week, Wednesday here at Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Jamie and I will be here at 9:30 sharp, and it'll be the NFL draft preview show for the special off-season edition of In the Pocket, where we're going to be talking NBA playoffs by then. We're going to be talking our roundtable, and we hope to have a bigger panel, as it seems to be that way, where it's just two of us 1 week, four the next. So we'll definitely, hopefully, have a bigger panel next week to make our roundtable a bit more topic interesting, a bit more disagreements, but we did have a great show either way tonight. So Jamie, I want to say thanks for coming on by. Until next week, I want to thank the beautiful Alicia White. I want to thank Scott Nason, the board operator, as always. I want to thank the listeners here at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, and to the great atmosphere here at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, and yourself, the listeners, for tuning into the Game Sports Show here Wednesday at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, where it was their wing night, 75-cent wing night here. Give thanks to a list of our additional sponsors, Boston Pizza, where we will be there tomorrow, or for some of you, until you hear this podcast tomorrow on Podbean, to be today, Thursday at Boston Pizza, where myself, Justin Heiko, and Brad Kochemila will bring you the up-to-date news on local professional hockey, baseball as well. And Monday we'll be at the Wicked Sister, where we're 6 to 7. Then we're live on radio. Then we're podcasted 7 until 8. But back to the sponsors: Sportscenter Bar and Grill, as I mentioned, Boston Pizza, going to North Shore Sports Toronto, Discover the Canvas, the Superior Pro Shop, the Salon, Big Brother Big Sister, and Northern Critters in Need. In Sault Ste. Ontario, Sault Ste. Michigan, got Pingator Cleaners and the Wicked Sister. Tune into the GameSportsShow.podbean.com. You can follow in and follow us, keep up to date on the sports shows, and also the YouTube channel, Scott Nason's YouTube channel, to follow. Soon to be Game Sports Show YouTube channel. We'll update when that does happen. And to the website, www.thegamesportshow.com, where it's still a little bit under construction. I mentioned at the beginning of the website, but those will all be adjusted when our merchandise, logo, and model pictures are released by month's end. For sure, by April the 30th, you will have everything complete on that website with pictures, and you'll have the pictures up throughout town in Sault Ste. Marie as well. So, to wrap up everything, it's been a great show. Jamie, once again, thanks for coming on by. Make sure to follow us on the Podbean page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. But we're not going to be away for too long. Within 24 hours, we're going to be back at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, where myself, Justin, and Brad will bring you the hockey, baseball news from Sault Ste. Marie and professional front as well. So, congratulations to Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds tonight, even up the series as well. And going to the signature catchphrase. The signature conclusion. You got the booyah at the beginning. And the new conclusion part. Keep your stick on the ice. Swing your bat. Catch your touchdowns. Drain your threes. And shoot your shot. Hey-o. Booyah. To all out there, have a good night. Until tomorrow night at Boston Pizza, be safe and have a good night.